San Diego. It's your girl Kelly Cass, and today I'm here with one umbrella artist, Annimeanz.
Yo, what up? What up?
Well, tell everybody and myself a little bit about yourself.
I'm from Cudahy, California. That's in South Los Angeles. Born and raised there pretty much for most of my life. You know, I'm just an artist. You know what I mean? I'm a lyricist.
What was it like growing up for you?
It was eventful. You know what I mean? You know, I come from the ghetto, so you know, there's a lot of crack, there's a lot of prostitution. Me and my moms, we lived in this motel. There's a street in it's borderline Bow and then, you know, Cudahy stores, and it's called Florence. And it's just like it was like the hub of all the negative shit, like in that area, right? So you had crack dealers, prostitutes, you know, everything you could think of, you know, fiends.
Yeah.
So, you know, I grew up right there.
And then you're staying in a motel, like that's home base for a lot of those type of people too. Like that's shop, setting up shop at motels. Well, so growing up, did you always know you wanted to be an artist?
You know what?
How old were you when you were like, I'm writing my music?
That's the thing, like a lot of people always ask me and then they kind of take it back. Like I didn't know, my ambition wasn't to be a rapper, you know what I mean? And to be all honest, I don't think I really had much ambition. You know, I watched the people that I was around. And, you know, in my neighborhood where I grew up, the drug dealers were the most prosperous people. So, you know, obviously I wanted to be like them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was never a huge drug dealer, though. You know, little corner hustles here and there, but those were definitely my influences. And so I know I wanted to be something good. I just did. Obviously, my energy was directed towards something different and something, you know, negative, but I just knew I always wanted to be something better than, you know, where I came from. So whether it was illegal or legal, I just knew I was trying to make something happen. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't even start rapping till about 2006, and the reason why I did that was because I had a cousin that graduated from MI, and he was the one who kind of, you know, planted the seed. Because I kind of, you know, I was always, you know, real big hip hop listener, you know what I mean, as far as Mobb Deep, Nas, you know, most of my influences came from New York hip hop.
Yeah.
And that's why I had you know, I took more privy to the lyrical side of hip hop, and so that's what I listened to. So I always kind of like played around with the idea, but it was never an ambition. And I got into it through my cousin, and you know, that's how we started.
What would you say your high point was during, you said 2006, what was your high point in the start of your career that you're like, you know what, I can do this?
My high point is when I met Gorilla Black, because when I met him, he already had, you know, he had a record deal. He had like a gold album, you know what I mean? And his brother was like one of the hottest artists in the city at that time. So that was one of the highlights of my career, because it was like, you start off wanting to rap, and then you just immediately jump into this situation where now the industry is alive and well in your life. You see what I'm saying? Because I was with them to every event, they big shows, so I was around all the big artists. You know, I met Kendrick Lamar before he was Kendrick Lamar. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, J-Rock, Glasses Malone, everybody you could think of, I knew them because I was a part of that team. So I kind of got introduced to the industry a lot faster than the normal person would.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? But then that was just all experience, because I wasn't relevant or prevalent in that time in the industry. I was just somebody that was around the industry, so to speak, because most people didn't even know I was a rapper at the time. I was just part of Gorilla Black's entourage. You know what I'm saying? What
would you say your low point experience around that time during your music career?
My lowest point of my career would have probably been in 2008 after I left Gorilla Black's camp. And you know, the reason why I left them was because they just had views that I didn't understand. Not that I didn't understand, that I didn't appreciate, and views that I didn't want to be a part of.
Yeah. For
certain, you know, people that know my career, if you go back, you can know the whole story. I'm not gonna get into that anymore because it's been years, but they views wasn't my views, and I couldn't rock with them like that. So my lowest point was me making the transition from part of Gorilla Black's entourage into Annimeanz the artist. and you know, coming from that type of environment and then just jumping head first back into the street game, it's different because you're not seeing all the fancy shit no more. Like, you're really in the street now. You're doing the grind. So that was the lowest point for me because I had to, you know, it was good for me because I learned all the how do you say, the flashy shit in the industry, but I never knew the actual street value of the, you know, the street side of the game.
Yeah. The
hustle, the independent artist struggle. So it was a little hard for me to adjust because I was so used to being around these people. You dig what I'm saying? I was so used to getting into these clubs where I didn't have to wait in line, or I was so used to going backstage to the biggest shows.
Yeah.
So now that I'm not on that side no more, I'm not going backstage no more. I'm not getting in the club in front of 30, 40 people. You know, I'm one of them 30, 40 people in the line. So
yeah, it
was definitely a reality check for myself because I think when you get into them type of environments, right away your head kind of goes a certain place and you begin to like look down on other artists that ain't in that position. Not even really realizing that you're not in that position, you're just a part of it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
that makes total sense that being a part of it and not in the position is two totally different
things.
things.
Exactly. But you know, there's a fine line. You see what I'm saying?
As a One Umbrella artist, how did you come about becoming One Umbrella? What is One Umbrella?
One Umbrella is it's a company that provides multiple services. It provides you know, radio placements. It provides internet promotion, and I don't want to say Billy offers management to everybody because I don't think Billy wants to manage everybody. But he does offer management to the artists that I could say that he actually believes in. You know, and he has a roster of like, there's like 3 of us or something that he has direct, you know, hands-on with. You know what I mean? So.
Nice. And how does I did some research and I came across a few of your music videos. Mm-hmm. One that definitely stood out was The West Side.
Yeah.
When did you drop that, and what's the concept behind that?
The concept of the West Side record is basically just a loyal female. You know what I mean? When they gave me the record, when they sent me the record, like I really didn't know what it was gonna sound like. I got the beat and then I sent it to DJ Head and he had the vision to put Jake and Papa on it. So I wasn't really knowing what to expect. So when I got it back, it was a female driven record. And for some reason, I don't know why, because I'm not, you know, I've always been able to make real female friendly records for some reason.
It was so, like, good. I was like, oh.
Every single I've ever made is about a female. You know what I mean? You know, I would say that has, you know, influences on my career, so to speak, or like people like Ja Rule. Like, I know a lot of people don't like him, but to me, Ja Rule was like the shit. And he ran radio for like multiple years, and he always had like female hit records. And you know, he was one of my influences for sure. I was a Ja Rule fan. I was a Nas fan. I was a Mobb Deep fan. So anything New York at that time just really influenced my whole career. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. And what are you working on right now?
I got an album called The Murder Business, and it's actually my second album. My first album is Cut Ahead, and it was pretty well received, that album. So this is the second album, you know, in my career. That's an actual album. And I started putting it together when I came home, you know, at the Division studio. That's where I started it at.
Nice. I actually caught recognition for you once I started seeing a friend of mine, Billy Knight, which is One Umbrella, promoting you. I know any artist that he does promote and he pushes and he works with is all like, he's done these incredible artist searches, so he knows what a well-rounded artist looks like. So I'm like, okay, let me check this guy out. So I look into you, and you definitely have a great work ethic right now. I noticed that he took you on the promo tour, the West Coast promo tour. How was that experience like?
It was cool. You know what I mean? It gave me a vision of the other side, a visual of the other side of the game as far as the traveling aspect. Because I'm pretty much, for the most of my career, just been a local artist. I think people in LA know who Annimeanz is. I'm not probably the biggest artist in LA, but people know who Annimeanz is. You know what I mean? But nobody in like San Diego know, or Fresno or something like that. So
the important people know, though.
I mean,
I know.
And you know what? That's funny too, though, because a lot of like industry people know who I am. A lot of rappers, a lot of all that. You know what I mean?
That's what you need.
But it's like, right now, it's like, I want the fans to know who I am. You know what I mean? That's what I'm after. Like, I want people to appreciate what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I want to be great at it. You know what I mean? I want to be looked at as a great person that did great things for not only myself but for people. You see what I'm saying? So
of course.
That's what I'm into right now. Just creating a dope legacy.
And so you told us what you're working on now. What's next?
We'll be in XXL next month in August. I know a lot of people was expecting us in the freshman issue, but you know, there was publication issues, stuff like that. Of course. So we'll be in there in August. You know what I mean? I got that going on. We're going back on the road. We're gonna push the West Side. We're gonna push to try to get it in, you know, a couple mixed shows or light rotation somewhere, a couple different cities, and just see where we can go from there. And you know, I'm gonna release the album. I had to do a lot of restructuring due to the fact that, you know, my crew situation and my home base situation kind of changed. So I'm starting to restructure things. There's a couple people I had to take off records because we just not cool no more, or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I had to
rearranging.
Rearrange. You know what I mean? So, but this album, The Murder Business, it'll be strictly just one umbrella, and it's the first music group. You know what I mean? We back on our own. So
that's super cool. Well, I definitely look forward to it.
Yeah.
Any final shout outs or anything?
Yeah, shout out to everybody on One Umbrella, King Sins, Billy Knight, Smoke Major, Young Hustle, everybody that's supporting what we do, man. All the first class fans. You know, that's what's up.
Well, thank you for tuning in. This is Kelly Cass, Annimeanz on the Avenews. Till next time.